Hey everybody, what is going on? I am Maximus Rex. Once again, this is Big Baby Reviews. Today we are looking at Origin of HORDAK #1. I do not own the actual floppy issue, but it is contained within this trade paperback right here, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, Volume 2, Origins of Eternia. So I'll just be using that today. Why are we looking at this single issue? Well, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a huge Jack Kirby fan, and I'm also a fan of some, if not all, of what people tend to call Kirby clones. So what is a Kirby clone? Well, basically an artist who draws in the style of Jack Kirby or is trying to draw kind of like or exactly like Jack Kirby. Now, some of them do this better than others, and like I said, while I don't necessarily like the concept in and of itself of artists copying other artists, although sometimes it can be fun when done on purpose for, you know, a particular story or a particular pass of a story or a flashback, or if there's a good reason for it. But there is a contingency of artists out there, a few of them, that I think do a really good job and still make it interesting where, you know, I can appreciate the art. Even though they're swiping a little bit from Kirby, there's just something that they do it so well. I can't help but like it. So a few examples of that, definitely Tom Scioli. I would throw in there Bruce Timm when he's done that pastiche look of Jack Kirby. He does it pretty well as well. But the artist in here that we're going to be looking at, who I think is one of the guys who does it best and who's done it a few times actually throughout his career, is Kieth Giffen. So what you'll see in here is somewhat of a Kirby kind of thing. I'll go through the details of it, obviously, when we go through the issue. But know that Kieth Giffen actually did a run on the Defenders in the 1970s that I actually recently picked up for the first time, where he does that kind of Kirby look. And I got to be honest, I think it's really cool. I really like it. So there you go. We're looking at something he did a little more recently in this issue here, but you'll definitely, I think, feel the Kirby vibe in it. So let's crack her open, have a look. Make sure we're centered. And this whole graphic novel has other stories and one-shots and stuff and has some great artwork, as you can see here. Definitely super cool shot here. But I'm going to be focusing mainly on this one. There's some good, great artwork and some not so great stuff. So here we have the cover right away. Kirby crackle all over the place. These poses and stuff, you know, super reminiscent of Kirby, that Kirby energy. You know, maybe a little bit more modernized in the finish and stuff and the look of it. Maybe the computer coloring helps that as well. But there's just something really powerful here that really evokes that Kirby energy and that Kirby power, both in the poses of the characters, right, and the angles and stuff, and the, you know, visual representation of power and energy that, you know, is definitely 100% inspired by Kirby here. What we call Kirby Crackle. So who do we have here? Kieth Giffen and Brian Keene are the writers. Kieth Giffen is the penciler. Scott Koblish is the inker. So maybe that's why we're not getting, you know, a specifically full-on Kirby look, although we're not far off. Hi-Fi is the colorist. I don't know if that's a studio or a person. Darren Bennett letterer, and cover art by Kieth Giffen, Koblish, and Hi-Fi. So Horde World, 1 million years before the birth of Adam. As you guessed it, obviously, the origin of HORDAK. So this issue is the origin of HORDAK. Tell me that's not a Jack Kirby inspired shot here. You've got the Kirby tech here. Just, I do like these kind of touches in modern times where they'll come in and highlight the, I call them Kirby lines or Kirby design, Kirby squiggles that he would put on, you know, mech and ships and technology and stuff. I do like when they kind of highlight it like this. It just enhances it and doesn't take away from it. I think it makes it look really nice and otherworldly and slightly surreal, psychedelic, and Kirby-esque, right? So definitely, you know, this is just a shot of rubble and ships and stuff. This is totally a Kirby image, right? And of course, you know, if you remember Kirby using this a lot, if you know about Kirby, he used a lot, I think mostly in the 70s, but he used it a lot over his whole career, is the splash page and then the double splash page, right? I'll you know, cop to ripping that off myself a whole bunch of times, because I just think it's a really effective way to get a reader into the story real quick, where it's like bam, bam, you know? And if you know anything about the New Gods, so much inspiration in this. It's not, I don't think it's a direct swipe of a Kirby composition, but it definitely is a Kirby type composition, right? He's taken maybe bits from different splash pages or stuff, or just inspiration, but that is totally a Kirby double page splash. And it looks awesome. You know, Kirby known for his mounds of human rubble, I guess is how I'd put it. You know, people, you know, on top of each other. If you know that Kirby went to war, he probably saw kind of actual real scenes like that. It's probably why he drew them so well. And Kieth Giffen definitely is getting that from Kirby here. And the whole composition is Kirby, really. I'll take just a few seconds to talk about the connection between, you know, Kirby, the New Gods, and He-Man, because, you know, Kirby worked on so much stuff that is precursor to He-Man, and you have to think that the guys working on He-Man knew about Kirby for sure, and kind of the, you know, the first to kind of mix, you know, mythology, fantasy, and future sci-fi stuff together was Kirby with the New Gods, right? That's kind of the vibe he had going there. Mythology, you know, the Arthurian knights and stuff mixed with the future, right? And sci-fi and superpowers and astral harnesses and things like that. So Kirby and He-Man, to me, just go perfectly together, right? Definitely inspired by Kirby. Even Kirby worked on Black Star for a while, did some designs. I'm sorry, not Black Star, the other character with the sword, right? There's you know, barbarian precursors to He-Man in those years, late 70s, early 80s, before He-Man became popular. So He-Man owes a debt to all those characters, right? Conan, Black Star, I forget the name, Thundar, is that possible? But all those barbarian cartoons with swords, right? And they're kind of, some of them are more fantasy leaning, some of them are more sci-fi leaning, some have a bit of both. So He-Man was not created in a vacuum. So Giffen kind of putting a New Gods spin, Jack Kirby style spin on Masters of the Universe or parts of the mythology just totally works, right? They could almost go hand in hand, really. So here you have Zodak, not to be confused with Hordak, is the character here, and of course drawn in, and even the layout and stuff, the panels, everything is just very Kirby-esque. Composition, energy, debris, and I love it. Like I said, I wouldn't say this is a straight up clone kind of style, right? Still got a lot of Giffen in it, but he's definitely channeling a lot of Kirby for all of these. I think, again, I'll mention even in just the panel layouts, right? These are pretty straightforward Kirby designed page compositions. But if you appreciate that kind of thing, this is definitely one of those issues. If you're into that Kirby vibe, and again, let's not use Kirby clone, but Kirby pastiche kind of artist, this is definitely, I think, a good example of that. It's the kind of stuff I seek out because of that Kirby bent that I have. You know, there's only a limited amount of material, even though there's quite a lot Kirby stuff out there. I'm a big fan mostly of his 70s stuff and early 80s, the independent comics that he did. But now that he's gone, he's been gone for a while, you know, what do we have to any new material? Well, it's going to have to be these pastiche artists who do this kind of work, right? And again, like I said, there's tons out there that are not great, and I don't kind of seek out, but you know, there's still some Giffen stuff I'm sure I could find that has that kind of look. Tom Scioli, you know, once in a while when he puts stuff out, it's got that Kirby vibe. As long as it's done well, I appreciate it. I see it as an homage to Jack Kirby and not just a rip off, right? I think the artists doing this are fully know what they're doing, and they're conscious of what's going on. They're not trying to steal from Kirby. They're trying to homage him and pay their respects by, you know, and showing people how much his art has influenced them. Like this whole, you know, these stone heads here, and it just screams Kirby. Every kind of manifestation of power, which again, like, this could be a New God story. You know what I mean? This basically is a New God story. Again, it would be seamless to integrate, you know, He-Man and those properties into, you know, the New Gods universe, and vice versa, the New Gods into the He-Man universe. I'm surprised at this point, like, I'm throwing it out there, but wouldn't that be cool? I think it would be. I would love to see a New Gods, you know, versus He-Man, Masters of the Universe, you know, New Gods versus Master of the Universe. How cool would that be? I think that would be very cool. Some more Kirby action. Some more Kirby compositions, page layouts. Very similar. And of course, just a mythic, epic battle between Zodak and Hordak. Very Kirby kind of framing there. When I talk about composition, I'm talking about framing, right? Same kind of thing. What you decide to show in a particular panel or image, right? So what seems to happen is that HORDAK somehow, you know, sucks in the essence of ZODAK. And how it ends is, let the rest of HORDAK's testament be written blood. By the power of darkness incarnate, I have the power. So a reference to that, you know, classic phrase that He-Man says. But I'm not quite sure what it means in this context. He feels he's gained the power from ZODAK, I guess. ZODAK, who's kind of, again, very similar to Metron in his original kind of creation for the toy line. In that he flies in a chair and kind of, you know, scours the universe, kind of researching it and discovering things. So, you know, ZODAK kind of is Metron. So another argument for Masters of the Universe and New Gods to have some sort of awesome, super epic, Kirby-esque crossover. I wonder who'd be willing to throw their hat and work on that. So that's basically how that ends. Again, not interested in much else out of this trade for now. So there you go. HORDAK. Origin of HORDAK. Issue 1. Standalone. Check it out if you're a Kirby fan and if you're into Kieth Giffen. Both excellent reasons to check out this book. Awesome, epic Kirby action. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. King Comics presents Big Baby, Volume 1, Issues 1 to 13. 204 pages of story and art. King Comics also presents Star Crasher one-shot, 32 pages, cosmic sci-fi surrealist adventure. You can find these fine comics at kingcomics.ca, at MaximusRex13 on Instagram, or on Facebook, MaxRex or Big Baby.